So it is tier list time. It is going into September, and we got a lot to talk about. The first two things that are already on the board are speculative because these were both data mined, and we're not sure when we're getting these packs. But if we do get either the Ocean pack or the addition to Sword Soul that has the branded stuff in it, those are definitely going to affect the meta, so we need to put them on the board. So if we do end up getting the Dragon Sport and Branded pack, Branded is going to be tier 0. Anybody who thinks otherwise is probably in a little bit of a fantasy world. The fusion for it is insane, and the fact that it's non-targeting removal is insane. The fish pack, if we get that, probably won't make as big of an impact on the meta just because it's okay. I do like the floodgate a lot. The fact that you can just summon him when you have Legendary Ocean out, and he is for and my dog sees something outside. And you can just summon him out, and basically your opponent can only have one non-water monster at a time. That's really good, and we've seen some results with it in the TCG, but not a lot. So I'm going to tentatively put it at tier 2, in between tier 1 and the off-meta tier. And if you notice, we've expanded the tier so I can kind of show even more where stuff fits in and give more reasons for stuff. Sometimes you guys don't like my reasoning. And so instead of just saying this is bad, I'm going to tell you why it's bad. So we're going to start with Aqua Actress. This is in the tier 6 awful tier. This is because this deck requires too much setup, relies on back row that's easily outed, and doesn't have particularly strong effects for the archetype. Next up, we're going to go ahead and go into Adventure. Adventure is still tier 1. Adventure will pretty much always be tier 1 until it gets nerfed in Master Duel, just because Adventure variants, there's a ton of different variants you can play. The engine is very splashable, and it is very, very powerful. I'm sure some of you guys have seen the Adventure 10 Roxbros deck that's running around and just has tons of explosive plays. So next we have Emancipator. And Emancipator, in terms of representation, I almost never see it. I saw it in the Duelist Cup twice, but I just don't feel like the deck is very good anymore. I think maybe losing Sekka's Light hurt it a little bit. And with other decks coming into the meta just being faster than it, I feel like it kind of struggles a little bit. I am going to put it as maybe like the king of tier 2 for now. Although I do feel like if you were playing that water deck and you went against Emancipator and you fielded the guy that lets people only have one non-water monster, it's pretty much an automatic win condition. So I just feel like the Emancipator deck is kind of fragile. Next we have Aliens, pure Aliens. They're better than Aqua Actress, but they are still awful. Like, they have search abilities with the A-Cell counter quick play, but the problem with that is you can only use it to search during the turn after it was sent to the graveyard, so you can't really set things up. If you're doing the Cosmic Slicer Golgar Ogata Luck variant, I guess you could bump it up to tier 5 at that point, but in its current state, pure Aliens are just, they're not it. Next we have Arcana Force, and I'm actually going to put this in not playable. And a lot of people are going to be like, well, why isn't it in the awful tier? This deck is really bad. It depends on the coin flip or second coin toss or a lot of setup. There are some Arcana Force the World cheese decks out there, and I feel like making your opponent skip their turn is a little bit better than just putting A counters on everything. Next, we're going to put ABC. ABC is playable. I don't really even put it in off meta just because I don't see the representation for it at all. I do think that the deck can definitely do things and is definitely, like, decent. I just don't really see the representation for it. I feel like it's a little bit slow to compete with the decks that are currently in the meta. Next we have Cyphok. I thought we finally got Cyph. No, Cyph wasn't banned. It was who was banned on the list? Oh, it was Celestial that I was thinking of. Don't know how I got those two confused. So Cyphok variants are definitely off meta. I don't see them very often. I ran into a couple in the Duelist Cup. They were both decent. I feel like based on representation and based on the fact that there's a deck in the meta game right now that doesn't need the extra deck, Plunder, uh, it kind of makes Scythe less useful. Plus, Adventure doesn't really need the extra deck either, so the Scythe lock isn't really that powerful against it. You could actually slash Scythe lock in Adventure. So I'm going to put it in off meta. It's definitely better than just playable. Battle of Boxers. I'm going to put a not playable because they are a rank 4 toolkit. You can do some stuff with them. They do have plays that they can set up. They are better than Aliens and Aqua Actress, in my opinion. So they're going to go in that not playable tier. They're not going to be stuck in the awful tier. Ancient Gears. Ancient Gears are playable. I actually went to a tournament in July for Master Duel. It was an in-person Master Duel tournament, which was funny, but there was someone playing Ancient Gears there, and they did fairly well. Because no one was really prepared for Ancient Gears. Like, the deck is strong, it puts big beat sticks out. If Blue Eyes can be a playable deck, I don't see any reason why Ancient Gear can't be a playable deck. Which brings me to Blue Eyes. We're going to put Blue Eyes... we're going to put Blue Eyes at the top of playable. If they get more support in the Dragon Pack with the branded package that was data leaked, I think they can move up to off meta. But for now, I'm going to put them at the king of playable. And that's because I really don't see the representation out of anything out of gold. And I feel like the deck can kind of struggle. I know there are people that do get to diamond with Blue Eyes, but it's not for me, Chief. Next we have Bujins. They're going to go in the not playable tier. They're actually going to go below Pendulum Boxers and Arcana Force. Kaiser Coliseum being in the game helps Bujins, but it is probably one of the easier floodgates to out. And Bujins just don't really have too much going for them, and they're pretty slow, which is to be expected because the deck came out eons ago and hasn't really gotten much support. Next, we're going to put the Chaos Beast. We're going to put them at the bottom of playable. The deck can do things. It can make big boss monsters. It's just not very good. And that's pretty much all I have to say about it. Next, we have Bes Boss Rush. So I'm going to put this under not playable. I'm going to put it at the king of not playable tier. Mainly because it can field things very easily. It does have that one card that can tutor itself out that has a decent effect and it's like a big beat stick, so it can do some stuff. I just feel like it does depend on boss rush and the field spell a lot, and the deck is just kind of too easy to out and doesn't really have enough support. Like even the chaos Phantom Beast dudes have more support with their field spell and stuff that they got from the Japan structure deck forever ago. Next we have Battle Wasp. So pure Battle Wasps, not so much, but B Trooper Battle Wasps, definitely playable. I'd actually even argue that they could be an off meta. I got to stage 2 and fairly high in stage 2 of the KC Cup playing B Trooper Insectors. And so if they can do that, I think B Trooper Battle Wasp should be an off meta. Probably dangling off the end of off meta, but they're there. So, Phantom Knight. Phantom Knight Adventure is a good deck. You've probably seen it a lot. Has a ton of plays. It's really resilient. It's going to lose a little bit of consistency from having... which one did they hit? Prosperity. From having Prosperity hit, it's going to hurt it a little bit. But the deck is still good. It can still go off. Next we have Chronomaly. Chronomaly is a not playable. Chronomaly, better than Bujin, yeah, better than Bujins. It can make Infinity. It's just the deck just kind of struggles, it's just older. Next we have Cyber Dragons. And with Cyber Dragons, I'm gonna say like Cyber Dragon, Cyber Dark variant, all that good stuff. Gonna be an off meta next to Battle Wasps. I do think that being able to use the Buster Dragon with like the Buster Whelp dude to make your opponent be locked out of extra deck with the Cyber Dark variants of the deck is a pretty good strategy, and it's pretty much on par with Scythe. So, you know, Scythe can be there. I think Cyber Dragons can be there. Not to mention Cyber Dark being an easy to access structure deck and having a bunch of different variants you can run, like Pure Cyber Dark, Cyber Dragon, Cyber Dark Buster Whelp Lock. I feel like the deck can definitely be an off meta. Pure Cyber Dragons, I'd say probably are below Cyber Dark because I feel like they don't have as many of the plays. So, Cyber Dark, Cyber Dragon variants, Pure Cyber Dragon. Next, we're going to have the Charmers. The Charmers can be unplayable. It's a rank 4 toolbox. Unlike the Battle and Boxers down there, the Spell and Trap card support for Charmers is a little bit better. And they can do stuff. They're not great, but they definitely are playable. I'm going to put them next to the Phantom Beast, just because I feel like that's kind of where they should be for now. We might move them. So next we have Nordics. So Nordics is actually going to be up and playable. And this deck is not great, so it's probably going to be like the ass end of playable. But I've actually ran into this on the ladder in Diamond. I don't know if people are just fucking around with it in Diamond, and that's why it's there. But I've seen the deck represented enough, and it can put Giant Beatstick on board. And if we're going to put Giant Beatstick.deck here and here and here in the playable tier, I feel like with the new support Nordic just got and Master Duel, it deserves to be there. If the representation falls off, or if I just keep clobbering the deck every time I play it, it'll probably move down next list. Next we have Blackwings. I really don't see Blackwings very much. Being able to make like the untargetable monster that's like unaffected by everything, I feel like puts it ahead of Nordic. Actually, I feel like it puts it ahead of Charmers and the Phantom Beast, the like Chaos Beast as well, because Blackwings have a lot of cards in their toolkit at their disposal. They're kind of slow, so I don't really feel like they deserve to be in the off-meta tier. But they're definitely playable, and I feel like they're actually pretty consistent, even with the consistency hits that we had in the recent list. You know what? We're actually going to move them up. We're going to move them up above Blue Eyes, and the reasoning for that is if you were to make a huge untargetable Blackwing guy, you could actually out a Blue Eyes deck, and I feel like it's better than everything that's below it. Maybe that's a hot take, but that's where I feel it deserves to be. Cloudians are awful. I don't even know if I really have to give you a reason why Cloudians are awful, but slow deck, awful deck, just way too slow, hasn't received support in probably a decade. Altergeist. Altergeist are going to be up in off meta. And I'm putting them in the king of off meta because they got multi-faker. Wait, was it multi-faker? Yeah, they got multi-faker put back to 2. Multi-faker being at 2 is really good for the deck. It improves the consistency a huge amount. The deck is easy to play. The deck has a ton of back row that you can rely on, even with the floodgate limits and bans that we're getting, like Vanity's Emptiness going away and Imperial Order going away. The deck is still just fine. So I feel like it can definitely be at the king of off meta. Next we have Black Rose as an archetype. The Rose deck is playable. It's not very good. It's playable. Ancient Warriors. They can be up there in off meta. They're okay, I guess. If they get the right hand, they can do stuff. Code Talker spam. It's a little bit less viable now that we got Salad hit more. But like Cyverse toolbox decks, they can still be off meta. They can be. I'm put them next to Cyphok and Multi-Faker. I feel like Cyber spam decks and salad decks being able to make like the untargetable code talker and decode talker, give them some options. Destiny Heroes. Fusion Destiny has went to 1. Celestia has been banned. They're still playable, but they are not in a good spot. Yeah, I'm actually going to put them behind the Rose deck. Like, yeah, you can run 3 DP, and you can make 3 DP by running like regular poly. But the rest of the stuff in the deck, other besides DPE, is just not very good. So it kind of hurts me, but they're going to be put in tier 4 for playable. Dark Magician. Dark Magician can be an off meta. It can actually be behind Cyberdark and Cyber Dragons with the head of Ancient Warriors. The deck has plays. It's not super great, but it can kind of control the board with the Dark Magic Circle, spam stuff out, has a decent amount of representation. The Magician Soul's good card. So yeah, the deck is okay. It can be an off meta. Danger variants and Danger Dark World can be at the ass end of off meta. Buster Blader, the Lock. Strictly because the Lock is still allowed, I'm gonna put it right there. But you probably won't lose to Buster Blader if you play it, like, realistically. If your deck is extra deck dependent, and they make it to where everything's a dragon, you can only summon dragons, only dragons get effects, all that, then yeah, Buster Blader will probably club you over the head. But it's not very consistent. It relies on the whelp too much. It's just mediocre at best. Next we have Dinosaurs. Dinosaurs have the Dinomorphia variant with Skill Drain, which is now at 2. Dinosaurs have the Scrap Dino variant to set up a really strong board. Dinosaurs have the regular Dino variant. I am actually going to put Dinosaurs in tier 2. Dinosaurs were not affected by the ban list at all. I mean, other than VFD going, really, but no one really ran that in Dinos as far as I saw. But with the current state of list, I feel like Dinosaurs can definitely be a solid tier 2. Maybe at the ass end of tier 2, but a solid tier 2. Dragon Link. We're going to put Dragon Link for now. We're going to put Dragon Link at the top of tier 2. I don't see representation for it a lot, but it's there, and it's still a decent deck. It is hurt by the fact that pretty much everyone's running multiple copies of Imperm right now, and you can stop people's starters. But the deck is still decent. I feel like it can actually make better boards than Emancipator sometimes, but it's probably not as consistent and doesn't have as many outs to being stuff like Impermed. Man, this is really hard. I don't know if Emancipator or D-Link should be the higher one on that list. And next we have Drytron Herald. I don't see this deck at all. It's like poof. And losing Prosperity to dig with it. I mean, the deck just is not. It's not. There's no representation for it, and it's not as omnipresent with as heavy negates as it used to be. So I'm gonna put it in tier 3 for off meta. I'm actually, and here's the hot take. Here's where people are gonna say that I'm crazy. I'm actually gonna put Dragon Maids ahead of Ancient Warriors, behind Dark Magicians and Cyber Dragons. But Dragon Maids get to be bumped back up to tier 3. After playing the deck for a while, I'm a believer. It can do things. It's a decent off-meta deck. So next we have Despia. If we get the branded package, in September, Despia is going to be up here with branded. It's going to be tier 0, oppressive deck of the format. It's going to do on everything. If we don't get the branded package, Despia is probably going to be more like king of the off-meta tier. Tax Dragon's good and all, but it's not really saving the deck. And until they get the rest of the support, it's going to be an off-meta. If we get branded, it's going to be right up here in tier 0. Despia branded is crazy. D2D. You guys don't like that I'm putting it in tier 2, but it's going in tier 2. The deck has an insane amount of combos, can make an insane amount of negate boards, and if a good D2D player plays against you and they set up the right board, you better hope you have a Lava Golem or a Dark Ruler no more, because it's going to be really hard to out. Earthbound Immortals. The deck is awful. It's worse like Chaos Beast. Eldritch. Eldritch is losing Vanity. Well, they didn't really run Vanities, but Eldritch is losing a copy of Skill Drain. Eldritch is losing Imperial Order. Eldritch is losing 2 copies of Prosperity. Crossout is going to 1. Eldritch is just going to have an even harder time in this meta. It is definitely still playable, and it's still definitely back row protect the castle deck, but it's easier to have the deck be blown out, and it's just not as good as it used to be. I'm actually going to put Eldritch under DDD, and people are going to roast the fuck out of me for it. Machine Toolbox, Earth Machine Toolbox. I'm going to put you right here, in front of DDD and in front of Eldritch. The deck's good. Don't see it as much anymore, but it's good. Dark World. If it's Danger Dark World, it is definitely playable. If it's regular Dark World, it's still playable, but closer to the back end. So we're just going to leave it there. Next we have Evil Swarm. It's not playable, not in its current state. If you're playing Evil Swarm and you got the Exceed out against the Sword Soul player, you could just like kind of look at them and laugh and be like, haha, you can't summon any of your synchros. But besides that use case, I don't really see it. Exodia like Solitaire Turbo, it's playable. It's better than Dark World right now. Unless it's Danger Dark World. It's better than Pure Dark World. I'd even say it's better than Destiny Heroes. Chainburn, pretty much same argument as Exodia. Pure Artifact, it's definitely playable. Scythe is definitely the star in it. I'm gonna put in between D Heroes and Dark World. Dust-Ons, not playable. The deck is bad. Evil Heroes, it's playable. It's actually playable enough to be better than Dark World. It's playable. Rifers, playable. Blunder. Blunder is going to go up in tier 1. Blunder is going to stay in tier 1 because with all the hits that we're getting, with DPE probably being played a lot less because Fusion Destiny is going to 1. Celestia is banned. Gospel Shadow's banned. VFD is banned. Blunder didn't get touched. So Blunder didn't have all its stuff. It's still there. It's still a force to be reckoned with. The deck can brick. I do like the deck. It is fun to play sometimes. Gets boring pretty quickly. It's probably the drawback to it, but it's fun, and I think it definitely belongs in tier 1 at this point, because if you go and look at the decks below it, if Blunder goes first, and you open with a playable hand, like not even decent, but a playable hand, you will pretty much shit on all the extra deck dependent decks. If the fish deck comes out, that might be a little bit of a problem, but not too much. But yeah, Blunder, definitely a powerhouse. Fire Kings, they're playable. They're not great, but they're playable. The chicken blows up the field. Menju. Red Menju. It's clobbering time. You're going to be... you did lose a Prosperity. You're going to be right up here in front of Decode Talker Spam, because I still have Desires, and the 4,000 attack Menju first turn is a good card. And the deck can have a lot of removal stuff in it and just be decent to counteract the meta. Next we have Gate Guardian. It's awful. Do I really need to explain why? The pieces don't really do anything. They're not very good. It's too slow. The actual summoning condition for it sucks. It's awful. Gem Knights. Gem Knights can't really do the FTK as easily anymore. The deck's still decent. I'd say it's better than a Seer. Definitely unplayable. I feel like it's either here or like here. You know what? I'm actually gonna put it out back there behind Change Track. I'm more comfortable with that. Galaxy Eyes. We're being more fair to all the beat stick decks this list. Galaxy Eyes can be below Nordics. Dark Lord, Despia, Dark Lord in general. Pretty decent. It can be an off meta. It can be up next to Multi-Faker chillin'. Evil Eye. Evil Eye's playable. I feel like it's not really that good, and it's kind of easy to counteract. Let's say it's better than Gem Knights. Fortune Fairy is not playable. The deck is not very good. In fact, I don't think it's awful, but it's not very good. So Endymion. People are saying they're seeing this, they're losing games to this. I don't get it. I have lost to Endymion a grand total of 0 times. I don't think the deck is very good. Even at a high school level, when I was in the KC Cup in the second round of it, and I had a ton of points, I was still buzzsawing through Endymion players. Every list I put it lower than 3 people complain and say, well, the deck's good. I played the deck. I got diamond with the deck. I'm sure you can get diamond with the deck. But I just don't see it being good. Like, at all. I think at this point it's probably better than Drytron's. I'd even say it's better than Dragon Maid. And better than Dark Magician. We'll put it in the off meta, but we'll put it below Cybers, we'll put it below Manju. Like, if I was playing Manju against Endymion and they had the you can't destroy my dude, I can negate stuff, and he's powerful, I'd just be like, okay, here's my 4,000 attack beat stick. But it's okay, it's off meta. Gene Raider, you don't really see them anymore. They're playable. Definitely better than Fire Kings. Definitely better than Dark World. Unless it's Danger Dark World. Definitely better than Fright Fur. Lab Beast. Lab Beast are playable. Put them next to Dark World. And someone in the last video commented that they got Diamond with Lab Beast. Send me the deck list, man. I want to see that. I think that's awesome. I love the archetype, but in this format, I just feel like they're too slow. They're too easy to out. Most of the time, you do have to get things started by normal summoning. If they stop it, you're in trouble. Next, we have Insectors. So, if it's pure Insectors with no B-Troopers, it's going to go down here at the Acid of playable. If it's Insector with B-Troopers, it deserves to be next to Battle Wasp B-Troopers. I played that in a KC Cup a lot too, and I was getting tons of wins with it. I played it in the first half, and I was just leveling like crazy. The deck has insane loops you can do, and being able to have the extra Insect normal summon from the B-Troopers, it's just insane. There's so much you can do with Insector B-Troopers. It is a good deck. Definitely not better than anything above it in tier 2, but definitely better than everything below it. And for people that are saying, well, how would you out the Chaos Chaos Max? I would go into the Herculean Beetle Fusion, boost his attack by 500 with like the field spell or whatever, and attack over it. That simple. The fusion's actually pretty easy to make too. So Goblin Attack Force Beat Stick deck, pretty awful. Necro Valley, it's playable. It's not very good against Flunder. Against everything else, it's okay. I'm going to put it in playable. I'm going to put it ahead of Glad Beast, actually. I'm going to put it up. Actually, we're going to move it up quite a bit. Yeah, there you go. Fairy Tail, King of the Beast, Fairy Tail Luna, Snow Spam with like returning your opponent's cards and using Luna to control the board. It's playable. It's not super bad. In fact, it actually might, as answers for everything, I actually might put it at the king of the playable tier with the king of the beast and the Luna spam and all that. So heroes losing Destiny Hero, or losing Celestia rather, and only having one copy of the fusion. Definitely gonna have to go and be kind of closer to the bottom of tier 3. I think I'm gonna put it right here next to Dragon Maid. Not really better than Dragon Maid, but just kind of next to him in no particular order. Next we have Ice Barrier. They're not playable. At Ignister, the deck pretty much is losing nothing. Still very consistent, still very resilient. Probably the best Cybers deck you could play at this point in time. Has the 5,000 attack beat stick that's unaffected. I'm going to put it in tier 2 next to Dragon Link. I can out it kind of easily with enough negates, but it is definitely a force to be reckoned with. Dogmatica variants, I don't see as much of them anymore, but the deck is still very good and has a lot of search options. So I'm going to go ahead and put it kind of up at the top of tier 3. We already did Fortune Ladies. They're awful. Well, we did the Fortune Fairies, but pure Fortune Ladies, awful. Radel, it's not playable. There are Kaiju shenanigans with it, but it's just not very good. Hands are awful. They require going to the grave. They require destruction effects. It's just too easy to out. Infernity's playable. You can do stuff with it. Probably chilling with Dark World at the ass end of it, but it's playable. I don't see the Ignite Cyberstein deck at all anymore. It's still pretty much playable. Ignites can do shenanigans. If it's the Ignite deck by itself without Cyberstein, not playable. Cyberstein in there doing the Cyberstein OTK, playable. Giant Ballpark. Ballpark is playable. You can still do shenanigans with it. You can still use Goki Pole. 10E Giant Ballpark is still viable-ish. I'm going to put it under Evil Eye. Oh, that's Infernity, not Infernoid. Infernity, yeah, playable. Infernoid Lair is still annoying. And Infernoid can still be a decent deck. Still has the reasoning skip. It's mainly beat stick deck. I'm going to put it up here in tier 4. Next we have Alistar variants. It's decent. It's an okay engine. I'm actually going to put it below Blue Ice. I actually see it less than Blue Ice. I do think the deck is okay. I think people just haven't figured out how it fits into the meta yet. The Kaiju Luna thing. It's up there. I'm saying Luna a lot. My dog, who's named Luna, who's below me right now, is looking up at me like, do you need something? Madolche. You can be the king of playable tier. Madolche is annoying, you can do stuff. It's kind of easy to out. You can get rid of the spells and traps to stop them from like going back into the hand. The deck's much easier to out. It's fun though. Master Duel meta, for some reason, has it like tier 2. I don't know what they're smoking over there, but Madolche is not tier 2. I feel like tier 4 is maybe being generous. Gimmick Puppets. Gimmick Puppets are awful. They definitely don't belong above tier 6. They are not good. Match Specters are playable, but they're definitely not good. Magical Muskets. Magical Muskets are playable, and I feel like they can go right there. They're kind of easy to out, but I feel like they are better than everything that's below it. Megalith, the representation for it's not really there. The deck is playable though. You can join Magic Specters in like the ass end of the meta. Ghost Tricks. You can play Ghost Tricks, yes, but they're just gonna get clobbered. Like there's no way to be nice about it. They're just too slow. Next we have MathMech. I'm comfortable with MathMech being right there. Lots and lots of trains. Mayakashi Bone Tower FTK. It's playable. It's a thing. Mayakashi's as a deck, they're okay. I'm gonna put them above Charmers, above Noise. I'm gonna put them. Well, but actually, I'm gonna put them above Ancient Gears. They have answers for it. I'm even gonna put them above ABC and Invoked. I'm gonna put them above Trains because they do have more plays than Trains. Generic zombie variants. Off meta. Zombie World hurts right now in the meta. Mech Knights. Yeah, Mech Knights go right there. Crusadia, going second, like Crusadia, OTK, shenanigans. You see it crop up from time to time. It's like the same principle as like going second, Ancient Gear. It's definitely better because it's way more consistent, has way more searches. I feel like that can be up above Invoked and actually above lots and lots of Trains, but below Zombies. Metal Foes, playable. Monarchs. So everything that Monarchs can do, Plunder does better. So I'm going to put them... I mean, you could technically still play Monarchs. They are Brick City. I'm going to put them in... I'm going to put them in not playable. I'm going to stand by that. Numeron? Numeron FTK is a thing. It's still there. Numeron FTK, definitely still decent. I'm going to put it in Tier 2. I'm going to put it in Tier 2 below... I'm going to put it in Tier 2 below... Tier 2 below Eldritch. I feel like that's kind of a good place for it. Because like if Eldritch played against it and Eldritch had one of the two skill drains or other floodgates, I feel like Numeron would have a little bit of issues. But Numeron FTK does come out of nowhere and do things. It's a decent deck, and I feel like it does belong in Tier 2. And it stayed throughout every format to the point where I feel like it's more than just being an off-meta deck. Cosmos are playable. They're going to have a lot of trouble at this point. I feel like they can go right there next to Evil Eyes. Mutants, they can go right there next to Cosmo, under above Evil Eye, under Chainburn. Nurse Burn, basically playing like Solitaire is like a worse burn deck variant of Chainburn. Just somewhere in here. Orchist has fallen off. I don't see a lot of representation for him. Harp is still on the list. Like, they're playable. They're better than Magispectors. They're better than like all these decks. I'll put them above Cosmo, above Evil Eye, and below Mutants. Sacred Phoenix and Nephthys. This deck is technically playable, but it's pretty bad. Paleo. Pretty much same logic. We already covered Phantom Knights. Phantasm Spiral. So Phantasm Spiral is definitely playable. It's definitely like better than Paleo. If we get that water support, the field spell for Phantasm Spiral is Tritos Umi. So that's a thing. If we get the support, Phantasm Spiral could actually potentially be an off-meta or upper playable tier. Ogodic is definitely playable. Put it right there. Pendulum Magicians. It's playable. Plunder Patrol. Playable. Oh. Alright, you get to go out. My dog wanted out of the room. Okay. Punk variants. Punk variants, I don't see a lot of them, but the Punk engine is still very strong. I feel like it belongs in off-meta, probably about... Yeah, probably about here. Chaos.deck. Playable. Gusto. Wait, no, that's not Gusto. That's Ritual Beast. Playable. For hire, I'm gonna put it in like not awful, but at the ass end of not playable. It's like it'll get clobbered by everything above it. Even Arcana Force the World be slamming into that deck, being like, "What'd you say?" But definitely, yeah, just no. Uh, yeah, just so I don't see it again. But Phantom Knight's still tier 1. Phantom Knight Adventure, decent. Definitely decent. Very consistent. Pure Boral, like Rocket archetype. I'm comfortable putting it here. Pure Predaplants. If we get the branded support, it's going to be much better, but for now it's playable. Pure Red Eyes. We have no Dragoon. Actually, even Ritual Beast are probably better than Red Eyes. Pure Shaddolls. It's going to be a hot take, but be up and off meta. Stardust as an archetype. Playable. Melfi. It's playable. Scrap Dino Shenanigans we already covered. Prank Kids. Next we're going to cover Prank Kids. Prank Kids are... Where did I just put them? So Prank Kids are getting one of their links hit. I don't know how that's going to affect the deck too much. They're going to lose a little bit of consistency. I feel like the deck is still going to be decent, but not super powerful anymore. So I'm going to put it in kind of like the lower end of tier 1. Maybe even as far as saying the high end of tier 2. Could be wrong. We'll see how the meta shakes out. Of course, she wants back in. Next, we have Summon Skull as an archetype. Awful. Subterrors. Subterrors are going to be Subterror with Guru control. That can be off meta. Next we have 6 Samurai. 6 Samurai can still make Bronco Bongo even without Gospel Shadow. They're playable. Let's put them... Put them here. Symphonics, garbage. Weather, garbage. Stellar Knights, garbage. Evil Swarms, we already kind of covered them, garbage. Spellbooks. Yeah, spellbooks aren't it, Chief. Tindangle, awful. Love the archetype, but they're awful. Skull Servant. I mean, Grass is still a card. Time Lord. You'll see them occasionally. They're annoying. They're not super great. They can be king of the playable tier. Bronco Bongo. Bronco Bongo is gonna have a hard time without Gospel Shadow. Pretty much only like spam decks like 6 Sands can make it. Battle Boxer could actually make it. I don't really know where this is gonna fit in. I feel like it is still playable in some decks, but I feel like it's definitely gonna be bad. Heroics can make it too. I just feel like the deck is just not going to be consistent at all. Still playable, but not consistent. Probably not represented heavily. Samorg. Samorg is bad. Trixar. That weird battle robot deck is awful. Do I already got my boy Sword Souls up here? You guys keep asking me to rank more decks, so I keep on adding more and more and more. Sword Souls, definitely tier 1. Definitely above Adventure, even. I feel like Sword Soul is probably going to be the best deck of the format if we don't get branded. Naturia as an archetype, awful. Yubel as an archetype, awful. Tenyi. Oh, that's not Tenyi. That's your Sinju. Right there. Shino Birds, awful. Speedroids. We're going to put Speedboard behind Blue Eyes. Every list, someone roasts me for ranking Speedboards low, but I just don't see it. Tribe Gauge. They lost a card. They're still decent. Probably more consistent than Pret Kids at this point, but we'll see. We'll see how the meta shakes out. I could be wrong. True Draco. True Draco and their annoying off-meta asses can be... They can be... Let me right there. Salad got Gazelle limited. Salad's still decent. Still very playable. We're giving Cyverse their due. Salad should also have it as well. They got the decent counter trap. Not really much more I can say about them. I'm putting them in off meta. I'm putting them next to their Cyverse buddy. Umbral, awful. Valkyries, awful. Roids, awful. Zephyra. You can go next to Pendulum Magician. It's playable. UA. Playable. From next to Cosmo. Unchained. Playable. Kind of at the bottom end of playable. Playable. Generic like Zeus spam. Like just popping Zeus out and spamming Zeus over and over and over again. Playable. Tremid. They're not playable, but they're not awful. Aromage. They're playable. We already covered 6M Spiral. It's playable. I don't think it's great, but it's playable. Super Quantal. It's playable. It's a Towers deck. It's not super great, but it's playable. Tenyi. So Tenyi Adventure and Tenyi Sorcel. Very good decks. They're going to be up there. Tenyi with Altitude, definitely not so much, but Tenyi with them, definitely good. So next we have Zodiac. Zoo didn't really lose like much at all this list. Zoo Try didn't really lose much at all this list either. Yeah, you got 2 Fire Formation Tenkis, but the deck is still good. Virtual World lost VFD finally. Virtual World can still do other things and other plays, but I feel like the power that it has, it's kind of been like, not necessarily kneecapped, but it's hit its funny bone. So, it can go in off meta in tier 3. Volcanics. They're not playable. The Time People. That's playable. BWXYZ. Awful. Generic Zombies, we already covered. Vampires. I'm not even no. Crap Chicks. I see a lot less of them. But I do feel like it's off meta. I do feel like Trap Tricks with the right setup, if they go first, can pretty much clobber everything below it. Watts. Watts aren't playable. Windwitch. Or Watts are awful, rather. Windwitch is not playable. Stick Chair, Sarseraph. It's not really playable. I'd say it's better than Battle and Boxers. Better than Arcana Force. Go, like, up here. Super Heavy Samurai. It's not awful, but it's not really playable. We already covered Trains. Thunder Dragons. I'm going to put Thunder Dragons as off meta. I'm actually going to put them above Guru and above Shadalls, but below Zombies. Worms. Awful. Wind-ups. They're not really playable in this given format. So the Crystron, Halifibrex, Yangzing board, generic board that they set up with the bajillion negates that they use, like with the adventure variant or whatever. That deck's pretty good. I'm gonna put it hanging off of the ass end of tier 1. Ding double variants can be a ass end of tier 1. Tunes are playable. X-Sabers, kind of awful. Better than aliens. Gokis, not really playable in this current meta, but I feel like they'd clever everything below it. I do know someone who got diamond with Gokis. Sky Striker, still consistent, still playable, still has very decent plays. I'll put it right up here in tier 2. Vendreads, not really playable. Venoms, awful. Vylon, awful. World Chalice Magic Key is okay. It's not like super great, but it's playable. So Yang Zing Sword Soul variants, you don't really see them as much anymore. I saw one the other day. It's still decent. I'm gonna put an off meta kind of next to Virtual World. When Witchcrafters, they're playable. Dare I say, they're actually very playable. Above Alistar, below Trains. Yeah, that does it for the list. Let me know if you agree or disagree down below, why you agree or disagree. And leave a like, comment, or subscribe. And as always, this video is brought to you by Dubby. Dubby Energy is a great jitterless energy drink. I love it. You can use code SirLargeGaming to get 10% off with the link down below. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.